Now at 9, we'll hear from a 13-year-old girl about what it takes to compete with a horse. Plus, the Midwest is under a severe drought. We'll look at how it's impacting farmers.
Well, for the first time in over 60 years, the Writers and Actors Guilds are on strike at the same time. Hollywood is at a complete shutdown. Well, what does that mean for your favorite TV show or the movie that you're really excited to see this fall? Coming up, we'll tell you what to expect.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Amber Jenkins. The Southwest Missouri Reining Horse Association partnered with Lucky J's Steakhouse and Arena as dozens of horses and riders took the stage. KOAM's Anthony Saviello has an inside look at what it takes to compete.
While everyone has heard of the rodeo, with the tough bull-riding cowboys and the majestic barrel racers, you may not realize what else these cowboys and girls are capable of. How long have you been doing this?
Basically my whole life, but I started showing about a year and a half ago.
Okay, and you're how old now?
13.
13. You've been doing this since you were 11 and a half years old?
Yeah.
Jaden Ingram is one of the competitors this year, but isn't alone, because by her side is a trusted friend by the name of Meatball.
I've had her for a year and a half, but she's 13.
Okay, but she's been with you since you've been showing.
Yeah.
A bond that must remain strong so that both Meatball and Jaden can put their best foot, or should I say hoof, forward.
You would need a good owner to take care of it and, be able to have that time. But for the horse, they need to be able to, they're going to need to want to do it, And it's hard in animals, but they're willing.
Willing and ready to show off and have fun. Reporting in Carthage, I'm Anthony Saviello, KOAM News.
Be sure to look out for more events coming to the Lucky J Arena on their Facebook. Meteorologist Sam Lane joins us with the first look at weather.
All right, it's been another toasty one across the area. We have a few clouds out towards the west, and that's associated with a lot of thunderstorms that are severe now over southwestern parts of Kansas, but that's staying well to the west of us. As we go through the evening hours, we're going to see temperatures dropping through the 70s all the way down to about 69 by tomorrow morning. And tomorrow, the UV index is going to be very high once again, about 9 on the scale. We'll have a little bit more cloud cover tomorrow, so about 15 to 20 minutes before the burn time. So make sure that you are taking plenty of precautions. Looking down the lane, we do have some scattered thunderstorms in our forecast, but the summer heat's going to return as well. And then more scattered storms late in the week with near normal temperatures. And of course, I'll have more details on that in just a little bit.
Ranchers and farmers in the Midwest are awaiting possible aid as the region battles through one of its worst droughts. U.S. senators from Missouri have called on the Department of Agriculture to look into opening Conservation Reserve Program land for emergency haying. Oklahoma Senator Mark Wayne Mullen says the region's conditions resemble the drought from the Dust Bowl in the 1920s to the 30s. Mullen also says the current hay yield is 25% of what it should be, which could affect prices for cattle and other food as well. Republican presidential candidates are hitting the campaign trail as the race for the White House heats up. Yesterday was the deadline for campaigns to file their latest reports with the Federal Election Commission that will show us how much cows they're working with. Fox News correspondent Alexandria Hoff has more from Washington.
Those FEC reports filed yesterday also show how the money has been spent. Take Governor Ron DeSantis, for example. His campaign brought in an impressive $20 million in the first 6 weeks, but the campaign has already used a lot of cash. A DeSantis campaign source has confirmed to Fox News, reporting by Politico, that the campaign is shedding several staff members. DeSantis spoke to Fox's Howard Kurtz today, calling that campaign process.
The media does not want me to be the nominee above all else. That will, in the long run, absolutely help me. And I think it's interesting that they're talking about some of this campaign process. We were 5.5 weeks as a candidate in the second quarter for fundraising.
The governor campaigned in Iowa yesterday. His supporting super PAC announced that in total $150 million has been raised. Former President Trump spoke at the Turning Point Action Committee conference last night. His campaign reported $35 million raised, but it's unclear how much of that went to his PAC. President Biden's campaign pulled in $72 million in Q2. That's a lot, but still less than where former Presidents Trump and Obama were at the same point. Governor Chris Christie raised just $1.65 million since announcing his candidacy. He said this today.
We essentially were raising money for 3 weeks. So we feel good about what we've done. There's also a super PAC that has been supporting our effort, which raised another $6 million on top of that. So I think we had a pretty good 3 weeks.
Christie also slammed former President Trump, calling him a coward. Today, in an exclusive interview on Sunday Morning Futures, the former president indicated that he will not debate his competitors next month.
Are you participating in the upcoming debate?
Well, you know, it's quite an easy question normally. Ronald Reagan didn't do it, and a lot of other people didn't do it. When you have a big lead, you don't do it.
Just 6 campaigns so far say that they have met the polling and fundraising requirements to participate in the debate. In Washington, Alexandria Hoff, Fox News.
Coming up, today marks a year since the life-saving number 988 was put into place. We'll hear from some health experts about the impact from this past year. A new study says exposures to some types of metal pollution in our foods is raising risk for some health conditions. Analysis from researchers by Mount Sinai Medical Center in Miami Beach shows toxic levels to even some low levels of metals like lead or arsenic are causing higher risk for strokes and heart attacks. The study found contaminants are entering foods and drinks like juices and milk and can remain in bones and organs for decades. This weekend marks the 1-year anniversary of 988, the easier to remember number anyone can dial, text, or message through a chat in order to get support through the National Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. Manny Gather has the one-on-one interview with the U.S. Secretary of Health and Human Services on the first year of 888 and what it needs to happen now to get care to those who need it.
It's a milestone. 1 year, 3 numbers, more than 5 million calls, chats, and texts.
988 has become, for those in mental health crisis, what 911 is for states of emergency.
While the latest data shows more people are reaching out to 988 than the harder-to-remember 10-digit number previously used, the Lifeline has been impacted by a national shortage of mental health professionals.
It makes it doubly tough. Fortunately, we've worked really hard to make sure that at 988, we continue to build the workforce so we can make sure we're answering those calls, texts, and chats.
Javier Becerra, the U.S. Secretary of Health and Human Services, says work is being done to help those most at risk for mental health struggles, including a pilot program aimed at the LGBTQ+ community.
If you signal that you're interested in hearing from someone who understands where you're coming from, we can do that. Veterans, it's the same thing. We have a queue if you're a veteran.
988 callers can also speak to someone in Spanish, and Becerra says starting this week, they can text and chat in Spanish as well.
What we continue to do at 988 is try to build out the capacity with people that are very similar in circumstance to those that are calling in.
The focus now, getting callers the professional help they need after reaching out to 988.
And that's where we have to work hardest, is because we have to make sure that if someone is willing to say, I'm reaching out to you before I go in the wrong direction, that we can then follow up with the services that they need.
Sam is next with a complete look at the forecast. And later, the Midwest Mustangs play together in a final tournament of the season against the 417 Mets. Brock Brawlwood will have that and more in sports.
Well, folks, it was another warm one across the 4 states, but of course that's typical for summertime weather. We did have some clouds roll in later on this evening, and that helped out just a little bit. Let's take a look outside right now at Seneca, Missouri at Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. Mostly fair conditions down that way, and it's going to be staying that way through most of the evening. 95 is what we made it up to today after starting out at 69, which was a tad below normal, but we made up for it on the high. Of course, we're way behind on the rainfall still, 10 inches now behind normal for the year. Hopefully we can catch up on that, but right now all the weather is out towards the west as far as rain goes. Severe thunderstorm watch until 10 o'clock. Getting as close to us as just west of Greenwood County. You can see some severe thunderstorms there west of Wichita, between Wichita and Dodge City, but nothing really going on in our neck of the woods. Instead, we're left with mild temperatures, generally upper 70s in some locations like Stockton and Iola with 79. Meanwhile, lower 80s elsewhere, 82 in Oswego, Parsons, Independence, and Welch. And when you factor in the dew point, look at this. We're looking at dew points in the low to mid 70s down across Oklahoma. That's just real muggy air, and that's advancing towards the north. And that means we're going to see the humidity come back as well as the heat indexes for tomorrow. In fact, here's what it's going to look like tomorrow at around 5 o'clock. It'll feel like it's in the lower 100s across the area. Then as we go into Tuesday, even worse, it'll feel like around 106 in Joplin, even hotter out towards the west with 107 in Independence and Fredonia, 108 scorching degrees in Sedan. Then on Wednesday, it improves just a little bit, but it'll still feel like it's in the low 100s across the area. So we have several days where it's going to feel very summer-like out there. Rain chances are going to remain low for the next 36 hours, maybe picking up just a little bit tomorrow as we do have some instability that might roll through our area. In fact, the GFS model is forecasting some places could pick up about 1.5 inches of rainfall. Other areas, not so much. So it's going to be hit and miss across the area. And the European model is even drier, so it'll probably be somewhere in between those two as we go through the forecast. And in the upper flow, we're going to be in a northwest flow pattern still for the next day or so, but then the ridge of high pressure is going to start making its way back across our area. That's going to increase our temperatures, and the storms are going to go towards the north. And then as we go through the rest of the week, we go back into a northwest flow pattern, and so we start to see the rain chances increasing just a little bit. So here's the forecast for tonight. Lows in the 60s and 70s with isolated storms, mainly towards the west. And then as we go into the morning, you can see those scattered showers and storms are going to be possible across our area tomorrow afternoon, highs in the lower 90s, but it's going to feel like it's in the hundreds. Then as we go into Tuesday morning, lows in the 70s with the best chance of rain up towards the north and east, and that will continue into Tuesday afternoon as we see high temperatures in the upper 90s to low 100s. Then notice a front dropping down from the north on Wednesday with lows in the 70s, and then Wednesday afternoon, it's still going to be toasty, 100 degrees, but then the front moves through and we start dropping down into the 80s by the time we get into Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, with scattered showers and storms possible. So hopefully we'll get some rainfall in here to help out with the drought situation and also keep us away from those 100-degree temperatures. We just have to get through the next couple of days.
Wow, Tuesday looks really hot.
Yes, yeah, really definitely hot. A scorcher.
I know you keep an eye on it, though.
Yep,
Thank you. Well, coming up, we'll take a look at the Hollywood strike between talent, writers, and production studios and what this means for your favorite shows. Pilots with United Airlines have reached a tentative agreement with the airline on a new 4-year contract. The new deal will give pilots a substantial pay raise up to 40%. The Airline Pilots Association says the agreement also includes better retirement benefits, job security, and addressing quality of life issues. The union says the agreement ends on a stalemate that has lasted on 4 years. Its 16,000 members still must approve the deal. Some striking hotel workers resume work in Southern California while union and hotel management prepare to talk again. The hotel workers return to work Saturday in Los Angeles and Orange County. They have picketed 12 hotels, some near Los Angeles International Airport. Workers in the Unite 11 went off the job July 2nd. The union includes dishwashers, servers, room attendants, bellhops, and front desk workers. The union says they want living wages, and they'll resume the strike if their demands aren't met. Talks resume on Tuesday. Hollywood is on hold as actors join writers on the picket lines. This historic double strike begins just as summer blockbusters hit the big screen. Fox business correspondent Kelly O'Grady is in Los Angeles with what this means for Tinseltown.
Well, for the first time in over 60 years, the Writers and Actors Guild are on strike at the same time. Now, today I'm at Netflix headquarters. We had tons of picketers here today. They did finish early because of the heat, but the passion was palpable, the commitment to this cause. And with the Actors Guild striking yesterday, the writers are hoping that their negotiating leverage just went through the roof. Now, I'll tell you what's driving this. Really, it comes down to pay. So there's two major sticking points. The first is how much workers would get paid when their content is licensed out to streaming services. There isn't a standard model for that right now in Hollywood. The other is artificial intelligence and how that's used in the entertainment industry. Now, the rise of Netflix and other streamers has actors and writers feeling like the current Hollywood model is broken. And in fact, I was able to catch up with Fran Drescher. She is the president of SAG-AFTRA. You might also recognize her from the TV series The Nanny. Here's what she had to say about how artificial intelligence factors into the negotiations.
It's critically important. It's, if we don't throw a saddle on this wild horse and pull in the reins right here and now, everybody's livelihoods are going to be threatened, not just ours. That's why the eyes of America and workers around the world are watching.
But listen, it doesn't just impact future productions. You've got major blockbusters expected this summer, right? You've got Barbie and Oppenheimer opening next week. And the strike means that those actors can't go out and promote their movies. And in fact, just as the strike was announced yesterday, the Oppenheimer cast walked out of their London premiere early in solidarity. So the timing really couldn't be worse. You've got viewers clamoring for content, and a lot of momentum could suffer from a months-long shutdown like we saw during the pandemic. And in fact, I'll put a number on it for you. In 2007, the writers' strike caused $2.1 billion in economic damage. So you can only imagine where we might go from here. So ultimately, these streamers are caught between a rock and a hard place. You've got this laser focus on profitability, cutting costs. They're not going to want to pay the writers and actors more. But at the same time, they need to have content. They can't delay those movies and TV shows that are in the pipeline if they want all of us to keep subscribing. Kelly O'Grady in Los Angeles for Fox Business.
Officers serve and protect the community, yes, but in this case, they're saving a raccoon. We'll take a look next. A raccoon in quite the predicament got some assistance from a couple of police officers in Ohio this week. The two Plainsville officers spotted the masked bandit early Thursday morning, struggling with a mayonnaise jar on his head. They were able to help the little guy out by removing the jar. As police department stated in its Facebook post, quote, "You never know what you'll see on night shift." 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports coming your way. Coming up, why 3 Kansas residents are being called heroes after saving a submerged vehicle. 2 Sedgwick County, Kansas sheriff deputies and a citizen are being credited for being a hero after they helped a citizen from a submerged vehicle this past week. The sheriff's office says Deputy Clinton Harris saw a vehicle parked on the I-235 exit ramp from I-135 with people standing outside looking at a van submerged upside down in the West KDOT Lake near Wichita. Reporter Max Dunton has the story.
A life-saving rescue that happened in a matter of seconds.
It was not a good position we were in when it came to the decline of where the vehicle was located into the lake.
Almost neck deep in water, Deputy Clinton Harris broke out the windows of the van. Moments later, Deputy Kingery arrived and assisted him with getting the victim out.
We drug him to us and then did basically a shoulder press above our heads to get him over the broken window frame.
A bystander pulled over as soon as he saw the accident. Both deputies say the save was a group effort.
That dude being there was no accident. I mean, all lined up the way it had to.
After the victim was transported by EMS, Harris noticed he had suffered injuries of his own.
I cut my finger up pretty good, and I cut my right hand, my left wrist. He got some cuts too. So yeah, I got 7 stitches on my finger.
The 2 deputies don't see themselves as heroes. They say they were just doing their job.
There are 25 things that I could lay down on the table right now and show how all these things happened the exact way it had to happen for this specific outcome.
Just 2 days after the submersion, Harris has a message for the man they pulled from the van.
If he doesn't have a relationship with Jesus, I would pray that he had one. That he realizes that was all him.
Sam Lane joins us with the first look at weather.
All right, we have some thunderstorms on radar, especially out towards the west of Wichita, between Wichita and Dodge City. Severe thunderstorms going on there. Nothing really going on in our area. All is quiet, and it's going to stay that way through most of the tonight. We'll see partly cloudy skies with temperatures dropping through the 70s all the way down to about 69 degrees by tomorrow morning. Tomorrow, the UV index is going to be in the high scale again. In fact, very high, 9. which basically means about 15 to 20 minutes before you start to burn out there, so make sure you're taking the precautions. Looking down the lane, we do have some scattered thunderstorms in our forecast, as well as the summer heat coming back, and then more storms later on in the week towards the weekend, and maybe some normal temperatures for a change, and I'll tell you about that in just a little while.
An enthusiastic citizen in Tulsa, Oklahoma, stopped his truck and tackled a suspect who was running away from officers last Thursday, according to the local authorities. This footage released by police shows officer chasing the runaway suspect down a sidewalk when a man wearing an orange t-shirt jumps out of his truck and tackles the man. The suspect was arrested for resisting arrest and other pre-existing felony warrants. 4 people are dead after a mass shooting in Hampton, Georgia. Authorities say it happened around 10:45 Saturday morning at several different locations. 3 men and a woman were killed. Authorities are now identifying the suspect. Police are offering a $10,000 reward for information that leads to Longmore's capture. Police say they are determined, but they don't know the motive for the shooting yet. Police continue to collect evidence they believe will help seal their case against the accused Long Island serial killer, Rex Heuermann. It's a crime that haunted Long Island since 2010, and investigators are still combing the house of the suspect, who faces murder charges in connection with the deaths of 3 victims. He also a prime suspect in a 4th death. Fox News correspondent C.B. Cotton has more from New York.
Prosecutors have said their investigation is far from over, and that seems to be the case. Detectives are still removing items from Heuermann's home behind me and chatting with people who live nearby. Now, it's been less than 48 hours since people learned this suburban dad and architect was accused in these heinous crimes, and you can still feel the collective shock. One woman tells Fox her mom was invited inside Heuermann's home while working for the Census Bureau about a decade ago.
It was just very decrepit, very hoarder-like, and disgusting. But he acted very intelligent, like he knew the words to say. But she's shocked. She's scared for me because I live alone here.
Friday, Heuermann pleaded not guilty to charges in the killings of 3 women, 22-year-old Megan Waterman, 24-year-old Melissa Barthelemy, and 27-year-old Amber Lynn Costello. The women worked as escorts. Heuermann is also the prime suspect in a 4th murder, according to prosecutors, and police could link him to more killings once they gather more evidence. In total, at least 11 sets of remains were found between 2010 and 2011. Investigators say back in January of this year, Heuermann's DNA was collected on pizza crust, and that linked him to a hair found with a set of remains. Prosecutors say Heuermann was also linked to the killings through his car and burner phones that were allegedly used to arrange meetings with some of the victims. Some people tell us they weren't sure this day would ever come.
I always wondered how the case would really go, if anybody really would be found for it. Kind of just look at the house, be like, wow, I've passed by it so many times.
Prosecutors say Heuermann had permits for 92 guns, but they're not all accounted for. And while it appeared he had a put together professional life, there may have been some chaos behind the scenes. Fox News has obtained court docs that show he had trouble paying his taxes over the past decade. He is behind bars without bail. His next court date is August 1st. Reporting on Long Island, I'm CB Cotton, Fox News.
Still ahead, we'll hear some tips from a mechanic about taking care of your car during these hot summer months.
Well, it was another hot one across the 4 states today, with temperatures rising into the mid-90s, including Seneca, Missouri. Let's take a look outside right now. Things are cooling off just a little bit down in Indigo Sky Casino and Resort, just outside of Seneca. And it's expected to be a mostly pleasant evening across the entire 4-state area. We made it up to 95 today, which was 5 degrees above the normal of 90, a little bit below on the low. And we're still way behind on the rainfall, of course, about 10 inches just for this year, not counting last year. And that drought situation only aggravated as a result. Storm watch in effect for parts of Kansas, mainly central and western Kansas, until 10 o'clock. You can see some severe thunderstorms ongoing there just west of Hutchinson on over toward Dodge City, but nothing really going on in our neck of the woods, and it's going to stay that way for just a little bit longer. Temperatures right now are pleasant up to the north and east in Stockton. We're at 78 right now, 83 in Carthage, 82 in Parsons, 83 down in Veneta, 84 the warm spot. over there for our friends in Nowata. Dew points, they're on the increase, and that means the muggies are coming back. Look at this dew point of 78 in Nowata. That is just downright sticky, but at least it is comfortable up towards the north with lower 70s up there, making it feel just a little bit better. Now tomorrow, as we go through time, we're going to see temperatures rising, or at least feeling like in the low 100s from Joplin to the west, a little bit cooler out to the west where they could have some more showers and thunderstorms out that way. Then as we go into Tuesday, look at these hot indexes. We're going to be looking at 110 in Fredonia, 109 in Independence. Again, this is what it's going to feel like out there. 106 in Oswego as well as Joplin. So it's going to be a hot one. Then as we go into Wednesday, again, it's going to feel like it's in the low 100s, pretty much wall to wall, maybe some upper 90s up towards the north behind a cold front that is expected to drop down from the north. Rain chances are going to be low, and then as we go into tomorrow, they'll pick up just a little bit. So we'll have a slight chance of showers and storms across the area, but don't expect a lot of rainfall from these. One model is forecasting maybe an inch or so in some isolated spots, including Joplin, but we'll have to wait and see if that verifies. Some of the other models are a lot drier, and it'll probably be somewhere in between those two is what we're expecting between now and Tuesday evening. We're going to be in a northwest flow pattern for a while, but then the ridge is going to really build in on Tuesday and Wednesday. That's why the heat is going to be coming back. Then as we go into Thursday, it's going to retreat back to the west, and we go back into a northwest flow pattern, and that's going to allow temperatures to drop as well as the storm chances start to increase. Tomorrow, scattered thunderstorms across the area with highs in the low 90s, and then as we go into Tuesday morning, again, isolated storms possible, mainly up to the north with lows in the 70s, and then in the afternoon, we're going to see temperatures rising once again close to 100 degrees. Over the next 7 days, here's a look at the forecast. Monday, 30% chance of storms, and then Tuesday and Wednesday, 100 or plus. And then as we go towards Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, cooler with more storm chances across the area, and hopefully we'll get some rain in the good old rain bucket.
Yeah, we need that rain, but goodness gracious, Tuesday and Wednesday?
Yep, good day to stay inside.
Yes, definitely. Well, thank you. Concern is growing for people's health in Europe as the extreme temperatures come at the height of the summer tourist season. Heat is known as the silent killer, and it already claimed at least one life in northern Italy. In Greece, authorities closed down the famed ancient citadel in the middle of the day because of the heat. Temperatures there this weekend could reach 110 degrees Fahrenheit. Coming up in sports, the Royals and the Cardinals both had home games earlier today. Plus, some of the best high school baseball players in southern Missouri and Kansas play in their final tournament together. We'll have the highlights next in sports.
The Midwest Mustangs are a baseball team full of some of the best high school players in Southwest Missouri and Southeast Kansas. These guys are playing their final tournament together before they all go their separate ways to college, and they want to make sure they make it count in the end. Rise and shine, the Mustangs take the field at 9 a.m. this morning, going against the 417 Mets. We pick things up in the bottom of the second inning, no score. Girard's Alex Custer hammers this ball into the gap. He'll fall down for a hit. With Colt Ungehauer's speed, he'll score easily. Custer turns it into an RBI triple, 1-0 Mustangs. On the mound today is Webb City's Kayla Darnell, who gets the strikeout right there looking. Then the fourth, swing and a miss. Then again in the fifth, caught looking again. Darnell pitches 5 innings, only giving up 2 earned runs. Bottom of the fifth now, 3-2 Mustangs. Webb City's Sean Hunt provides a little insurance here. That ball's belted and rolls all the way up the hill in right field. 2-run score. It's a 2-run double for Hunt. Mustangs go on to win this game 6-3. The Mustangs went on to win the next game 10-2 to win the tournament, as this group of players has finished their last game all together on a high note.
So, I was going into the tournament, kind of got some bad luck with it, hit the ball hard, just right at people. So today, first 2 at-bats, got kind of rough luck, but coming into that last at-bat, I knew I needed to do a job and got it done with a double. So it's been amazing. Kaler Sidewalker, I've spent a whole spring with him and everything. Coach Myers has been great for me, getting me looks and stuff. Been a great team, great relationship with these guys, obviously, and let's keep it rolling.
Well, the bad news for the Nevada Griffins is they're tied for last place in the Mink League South. The good news is They're only still a few games behind first place. The Griffins have not played a full game since Thursday as Nevada is out on the road for their final set of games for the season. In game one of the doubleheader, Griffins really fought hard. However, they were one run short. Chillicothe's pitching holds on for the final 2 innings. The Mudcats come out victorious by defeating Nevada 5-4. So in game 2 of the doubleheader, the Griffins lose in a heartbreaker as Nevada was down 4-1 at one point, and the Griffins come all the way back to regain the lead, but Chillicothe walks it off to beat Nevada 6-5. However, Ryan Davis goes 2 for 4 with a triple and 4 RBIs. The Kansas City Royals and the St. Louis Cardinals are each hosting Sunday afternoon home games. The Royals look to avoid the sweep against Tampa as the Cardinals look to win the series over Washington. Cardinals versus Nationals, bottom of the 5th, 3-1 Redbirds. Nolan Gorman swinging the drive and goodbye baseball. Solo home run, Cards lead it 4-1. Top of the 6th inning now, same score. Dominic Smith to center field. Lars Nootbaar almost makes an amazing catch. 2 runs will score for the double, but Cardinals still lead 4-3. Bottom of the 6th now, same score. Paul Goldschmidt. Goldie, get the tape measure out. Look where this ball lands. Way up there on the berm in center field. 2-run shot. Cardinals beat the Nationals 8-4. St. Louis wins the series. Royals versus Rays in Kauffman Stadium. Bottom of the 2nd, 3-0 Kansas City. Bobby Witt Jr. Does it have the distance? Well, not quite, but 2 runs are going to score as he hits that one off the wall. Witt Jr. turns it into a 2-run triple, 5-0 Royals. Bottom of the 4th now, same score. Drew Waters, turn and burn. That ball's going to take a drink in the fountains. Splash, solo home run, 6-0 Royals. So then the bottom of the 5th, same score. Bobby Witt Jr. gets the ball over the fence this time. What a shot. Solo home run, 15th of the senior for Witt Jr. So we head to the 8th inning now. MJ Melendez will come up to the plate. And look at this shot here again. Look out, Pepsi Porch out there in right field. Solo home run once again for the Royals. The Royals today, it was all Kansas City. They beat Tampa 8-4 as the Royals avoid the sweep. And a final note here in Lake Tahoe at the American Century Championship. Warriors superstar Steph Curry putts for an eagle to win the tournament. Curry last played in Las Vegas where he lost to Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce in the match at the Wynn Golf Club. This week, however, Curry bounces back to win the American Century Championship. Curry is the 2nd NBA player in history to win the tournament. That'll be it with sports. We'll be right back right after this.
No matter how much we all love summer, extreme heat is not always our friend, especially when it comes to our health or even our cars. Fox Danielle Miller has some tips on how to keep your car running during these almost triple-digit temperatures.
Batteries seem to fail because batteries don't like the extreme heat. They don't like the extreme cold. If your battery's weak, it's going to fail when it starts to get really hot.
Your battery and pretty much everything else if you're not taking proper care of your vehicle during our triple-digit temps. Along with your battery, Dave Martin of Martin's Auto Repair says to make sure fluids are fresh.
Heat is what really destroys things. And if the fluid is the lifeblood of the engine and the transmission and the differential, and if that fluid isn't in good condition, those moving parts inside the transmission, engine, and differential will start to get warm and it could cause failures.
Dave says making sure your tire pressure is where it needs to be is also very important.
When the tire pressure goes low on the tire, it creates more heat. And there again, heat is bad. It'll cause problems like this. The tire will completely separate.
During the summer, there's some things you should be keeping inside of your vehicle: extra water, a safety kit, an umbrella for shade in case you get stuck, and oven mitts.
We've all gotten in our car and touch the steering wheel and, it's pretty hot. So, it's not a bad idea to keep an oven mitt in there if you need to get something that's really hot or touch something that's really hot, or even if you needed to lift the hood. Just lifting the hood in these cars, that metal is really hot.
Up next, how a group of police officers in Arizona are helping out the community during these extreme temperatures. The extreme temperature is affecting people across the country, especially those that don't have air conditioning. Reporter Lauren Clark takes us to Arizona, where a local police department is helping those in need for a cool down.
that is hot.
93-year-old Paula Martinez and her 87-year-old sister Linda were sweating inside their surprise home that's never been fitted with air conditioning. It even got around 114 degrees inside yesterday.
I don't like the heat over here.
Paula didn't know what to do and called the police.
Well, she was just asking for help. Said it was hot and she was asking for help.
Garrett Salwell was one of the officers who responded.
It was just sweltering hot inside.
A call illuminating a problem across the valley, as seniors like Paulina and Linda are more at risk in the heat. A 2022 Maricopa County report revealed nearly 2/3 of all heat-associated deaths occurred among those 50 years or older.
It was very clear that it was almost as hot inside the house as it was outside.
Patrol Sergeant Ashley Vasquez says they sprung into action.
One of the sisters kind of laughed and said, oh, you know, we could use some water, but I'm really craving a Coca-Cola. And I was like, that's easy. I could do that for you.
They're very nice. They help us a lot.
Waters and a Coke in hand, Surprise Fire came to help too. The women were transported to the senior center to cool down as officers did some shopping.
We're able to purchase them an AC unit and some standing fans.
A cool surprise and an act of kindness.
May God bless them.
They'll cherish forever.
They're our angels. They've been helping a lot, everybody.
I know those residents were very thankful, especially in the temperatures that we're experiencing.
Yeah, and it's very important to check on the elderly, especially when we're talking heat in the 100s like we're going to see on Tuesday and Wednesday. And then some showers start to move back in on Thursday and Friday, so we cool things down closer to normal with highs in the 90s or close to 90 and lows in the 60s. So looks like we have some storms mixed in there with a little bit of heat.
Alrighty, well, that's our time for tonight. Thank you for joining us. We'll leave you with a video of animals at an Israeli zoo enjoying icy treats. We'll see you right back here next time. Thank you for making us a part of your night.